Okay, I'm recording.
And a 1, and a 2, and a 1, 2, 3, 4.
Imagine if you and I actually launched into perfect harmony in that moment.
To a cappella.
Yeah.
I just realized there's probably a barbershop quartet pod out there.
There's probably multiple barbershop quartet pods.
There's probably one that started assuming that they were the only one.
Oh, yeah.
And then, podcasts are really bad. I feel so embarrassed to have a podcast.
I recently listened to a podcast that had been kind of recommended to me, and I won't say the name because I don't want to be too cruel. But first of all, the episode was 90 minutes long, and I thought, damn, I do not have time for this. This is ludicrous. And then the podcast kind of started with just them fucking around for a minute until someone was okay,
bantering.
Yeah, okay, so I'm recording. It's okay, cool, I'm recording. And then they kept bantering about what something that the podcast was not about for 10 minutes.
I love it.
And I stopped listening to it and I unsubscribed.
Was it
I was like, who does this? It's fucking terrible, man.
There's nothing worse than when I'm trying to explain this one to someone, which is first of all, I don't want to talk about it anymore out loud. It's too embarrassing to talk about. It's fun to be in, but to talk about it out loud is quite embarrassing. But then I find myself being yeah, but it's not actually about that. We go way off topic. And then as I say it out loud, I get this douche chill.
Yeah.
It's so embarrassing to say.
Yeah, it's all bad. I had
basically they talk about one topic over and over again and beat it to death, but they go in all kinds of directions.
And then they also
ultimately
other
it's
shit
just
you don't care
just
about
it's really about life itself.
Yeah. I had the tremendous misfortune of bumping into an old professor of mine at a Halloween party, and this was a woman that when I was in first year.
First of all, this sounds like the premise for a Woody Allen movie.
Yeah, and I was very much with sort of not the really awful stuff, but just with respect to being squirming and awkward. I was very much embodying a Woody Allen character in this.
It's called. Staten Island bespookening.
Right. My grandma's from Staten Island, so that's
well. There you go.
Yeah. So, and that's just an example of one of the many crucial facts that we like to give you on this Blink-182 podcast.
Let's look up the Staten Island wiki. Why not, man? We have the time.
Yeah, exactly. And Lord knows, apparently a few other people do as well.
I just love going down little rabbit holes on the internet.
Well, I wonder which parts of Staten Island the Wu-Tang Clan were from. So I'm at this party and I bump into this woman that I haven't seen in, I guess a decade or whatever since I graduated. And she was great. When we were in first year, she had written for Exclaim back in the day when it was still an all black paper with white type, which is truly mind boggling.
I'm just going to not touch that joke.
Right. But anyway,
there was quite a while where it was an all white paper as well.
Right. Yeah. So mercifully, times have changed and things have progressed on that front. But anyway, the point is I thought she was so cool, and I obviously had a big kind of student crush. And then I saw her 10 years later at this party, and she was like, "How are you doing?" She was dressed like Uma Thurman in Pulp Fiction, and her husband was dressed as John Travolta. So it took me a second. It was a great costume. And so I was already this is cool. And then she's like, what have you been up to for 10 years? And so I had to try to brag about how well I'd been doing. Well, not I know I'm fairly braggy, but hopefully not in the disturbingly ostentatious way. And so I'm doing that, trying to imply that, they did a great job teaching us. And it's going pretty well.
Oh, God.
Wait.
Wait.
Well, because I wanted to reflect back on her and the rest of the faculty's good work.
Would you say that you wanted to be a sort of comfort animal or pet of sorts to your teacher?
Yeah, exactly. So
you gave her an apple.
Yeah, look, it was bad. It was.
You gave her a Starbucks gift card that you had pre-bought just in case you bumped into any old teachers.
Yeah, I just have this, and I know you liked Frappa things.
All right, so you're trying to tell her how good she taught you.
Yeah, and then
go on.
And then they mentioned that they've changed. They've obviously adapted the program a lot in the last 10 years, and now they and one of the things that they teach they teach podcasting at this university program, which is
oh my God, really?
should be illegal, obviously. But they found a way to take thousands and thousands of dollars from people and give them degrees for it. And so she mentioned this, and then I was like, oh, and then, talking about podcasts, do you have a podcast? She's like, yeah, well, I do this. Like, it's weird because it's a niche, but I do this yarn, this knitting podcast or whatever. I was like, oh, that's crazy. I have a Blink-182 podcast. And it was like, that was when the whole tenor of the conversation changed. Because like, so far I was like, would you do all this really interesting and compelling stuff? And I was like, and also every week I talk about Blink-182. And, these people are maybe like at least 10, 15 years older than me and definitely think that like Blink is a terrible, shitty band for assholes. And it never really recovered, and I kind of regretted it the rest of the night. And now I'm working through it, and it's just as bad as it was that night. So, and for new reasons.
Having a yarn podcast is better than having a Blink-182 podcast. That's
so.
The official from an actual PhD in podcasting. They've determined this.
That's what their academic studies have proven.
I love how like we spend our entire childhood being told that we need to go to secondary or whatever, post-secondary education. And then like by the time you get there, they're like, I'm teaching a class on the laugh tracks of Kids in the Hall episodes. And we're going to study the different sounds of the laugh tracks over the years. And then there's always like a local paper that wrote about it. Like, can you believe they're teaching this? How far schools have come. Like, what a fucking waste for everyone.
Yeah, it's not good, man.
We should all just go work in a mine or something.
It's the only honest job. It's just, but it's just so weird to think back, like, we went to school and instead of, teaching us a practical skill, they taught us to edit video, and now they're teaching kids to edit podcasts. And, you just think about how much things have changed since when I was young. It was a particularly brutal run-in. It was so bad.
That sounds bad. It's also, this has been we've done about 17 episodes back to back in preparation, but also I find some of these are like hard to even pin a pun on them.
So you're letting me just sort of take the reins
again? That's why I'm just
again?
letting you do it, yeah.
Thanks, man.
Because I got nothing.
You're a little checked out, eh? Are you?
When I was young, I don't know. Like, what are you supposed to say? Something to do with Angus? Let's see. Something to do with being Halloween, being Neil Young for Halloween when I was young.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's pretty good, actually. Do you want to do that again? This was a Halloween party.
I just want to make it good.
Did you? So I ran into her at a Halloween party. That was sort of my Halloween story. We didn't really talk much about the season. Did you have any seasonal experiences around Halloween?
I watched a movie in the dark with my wife, and that was it.
You didn't dress up? You didn't dress up as any
No, I didn't dress up this year. Fuck that.
You didn't.
I used to do that when I was young.
Roots rocker.
When I was young.
Okay, great. So I wish that this song was.
No, never mind. It's too awful.
No. Wow. No. Please.
I was gonna say when I was UNG. And it's the initials for Noel Gallagher, and come up with a sort of
it's also
humorous scenario where that might.
It's also a fairly common last name, right? Like Ing, like when I was you Ing, like maybe you were someone named.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to leave the sort of racial element out of it. But,
I didn't bring race into it.
That's true. You did.
You did. Wow, Josiah. So when we were young,
show this one to your professor. I think
this is how I'm finally going to get my my doctorate. So when we were young by the Killers, easily one of the best songs in their catalog. How do you feel?
Although the Killers are fucking amazing, and I don't know if you think that or not.
Of course I do.
I'm
hot-blooded.
All the songs that aren't incredible are just not incredible because there's like a dumb, unnecessary horn section or something.
Right.
But every Killer song could be edited slightly to be a perfect jam.
Yeah, the hits are, and I'll admit that like I'm not an albums guy, but those hits are monstrous And like if they ever come on in a bar, it just makes you want to destroy everything with like your affection for humanity and your own.
I regret
existence.
this conversational turn.
They're fucking good, man. And like they're nice Mormons too, like which is
like my boy Danny R.
for the Morms.
Yeah, the Morm harms. You can't beat those Morm harms.
We drove by Brendan Flowers' house the last time I was in Las Vegas with numerous friends of the pod. And board member of the pod, Nicole, yelled, "We love you, Brandon!" out the window at him because his house was for sale at the time. So we had figured out the address and we drove to it like freaks.
Oh, the house was for sale? That's pretty cool. Did you look at the listing?
Yeah, man, it was fucking bomb. And it wasn't like that expensive, like as compared to Toronto real estate, where like for the same amount of money, you would get like a nice condo in Toronto.
Right.
But he had this palatial Nevadan estate and it was tight.
I do feel like this has turned into a podcast about celebrities' homes in Las Vegas that you and your friends have driven by. Because I feel like we recently talked about that on a different one.
It's entirely possible. We've also
Ashley thought that one of them lived in Vegas.
Oh, yeah. Ashley thought that was, Mark Hoppus lived in Vegas. And then we never really got a correction on that, so I don't really know what happened.
So basically it's a podcast about celebrity real estate in Vegas, but it's like about so much more.
So much more.
We go into...
Including the song When I Was Young by Blink-182. So, Josiah, let's get down to... the nitty-gritty of real estate.
Let's just get under that hood. Let's roll up our sleeves.
Yeah.
Get some oil under our fingernails.
Which of your many homes in Las Vegas would you play When I Was Young in? Would you play it in your loft on the Strip, your apartment? Would you play it in your...
Vegas is such a horrible place.
You're so fucking wrong, and it breaks my heart. If I was not going on this tour that I'm on right now, again, don't know where we are in space and time, but if we had not gone on this tour, I was absolutely...
I just hope that Joel's okay.
I know. Well, yeah, we'll do a check-in on Joel and my bullying, but if we hadn't gone on this tour... I was looking at Vegas, like it's Ashley's birthday. Ashley loves Vegas, doesn't really care for Blink-182, but it was like a 50-50. At least like many of my friends are Las Vegas sympathizers. And you would have been sucked into that because if we were all going to Vegas and going to Blink, it's not like
I know the your friend crew, which is just one fam, is I'm starting to notice as we talk more and more and become more friendly, the gravitational pull of the fam black hole.
Yeah, man.
Is like,
you don't need anything else.
I'm getting afraid. I'm afraid.
So you would have come to Vegas. It would have been so sick. You would have finally understood the magic of the ugliest place on earth. But as it stands,
I remember there being some cool pawn shops that had like cool stuff that I wanted to buy.
Right, yeah. A lot of really cool pawn shop shows being shot there.
There was like a fake O.J. Simpson glove in glass that was really cool. So that's I would buy this.
That's a reason to go. But yeah, we are. I guess this episode is also really the end of the Las Vegas residency. So hopefully they come back and they do it again, and you and I can go to Las Vegas.
And so that's why we're talking about the song "Kings of the Weekend," which is what they named the thing after.
Yeah, exactly. So how do you feel about the song "When I Was Young" by Blink-182 Josiah?
I love it. I fucking love it.
So fucking good. It's so good. It makes me sad though. These Dogs Eating Dogs songs make me fucking sad.
Well, this song is very sad, and it's sad. It's sad in a very nostalgic way, and it's good and it's great. So that's it. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, great. Well, see you next week.
We do that joke like all the time, but what if we actually did it?
It would be freeing. Like, imagine how good it would be. I had done, I want to say like 100 fucking This Exists episodes, like every week, hadn't missed a week, 10-minute deep dives on whatever just foolish nonsense that consumed my brain that week. And then I did an episode on Vor where I just like didn't talk and just acted repulsed. And people were quite mad about it, but it was so freeing.
That's pretty judgmental, actually.
To be honest, I was accused of, quite rightly accused of kink shaming, or did you say agoraphobia?
Avoraphobia.
I was afraid to go outside and get into an animated creature's stomach. And I was rightly accused of kink shaming, and so I at some point wanted to do a follow-up to correct the mistake. But yeah, no, you're right. But the point is, just kind of barely doing an episode was so freeing that eventually I just stopped doing them entirely.
That sounds great.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I have a really specific problem with this song that I kind of need to address right off the top, because it sort of colors how I feel about it. And the song is so good, and it starts and it feels so fucking good. And then as soon as Mark comes in, I immediately flash back to when this EP came out. The place I was working at the time, there was a guy that I worked with who was like really nice, but like way too earnest and very into Blink. And
sorry, were you working with a mirror?
yeah. It was during my time at the salon. No, if you could imagine someone who like kind of like gives me chills because I'm just like, stop being so sincere. Like that's who that person is. And so like it would cause your skin to flip inside out and you die. And so they were like, hey, have you heard the new Blink EP? And I was like, no. They're like, okay, it's the first song. And then they proceeded to like, tell me all about it. They're like, the first song. Like, can you imagine an earnest person telling you all about how a Blink song sounds?
It sounds actually like hell.
Yeah, it does, right? So this person that is nothing like me proceeds to kind of explain the song to me. And he's like, and we're like in an office, right? And then he's like, it starts off and it kind of like sounds like one of the Neighborhood songs, and it's like fine, but it kind of sounds like Neighborhoods, which is insane because the beginning of the song is like the in my mind the best part of the song. He's like, but then like it kind of slows down and you get this like kind of classic Blink interplay where like Mark is singing like, and then he like kind of sings it in the office, and I was like, oh my god, like it was like I'm actually like. I'm clenched, like, describing it to you, because it was one of those things where you're like, you're incriminating me in this moment by, like, doing this at me, and, like, I don't know how to make you stop, and I want to be like, this is great, thank you, I'm happy that we get to share this interest in this moment together, but, like, stop. And when I hear this fucking song, I just see this person sitting across from me singing lyrics.
He was singing "It Doesn't Hurt That Much."
Yeah, exactly. Like just a cappella in a fucking open office, going, "It doesn't hurt that much." Like, and he was singing it really sincerely. And I was like, no.
Do I know who this person is?
You don't. I'm just like worried that we have mutuals who like would listen, and they're really nice. They're like a fundamentally good person. And
well, that makes it even worse.
I know, but it like. They are forever tied to my memory of this song. So when the song started, I was like, why did I listen to this song? The song fucking rules. And then that happened, and I was like, I have like, it's triggering for me.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. And so my ability to enjoy it is like very much tempered by this like traumatic experience that I endured.
But I do think that this is something that kind of, that's part of the charm of the song, is that it's very corny and embarrassing. And I think we might have already talked about this the last time we did a Dogs Eating Dogs song, but, well, I'm going to play you this quote. We might have already played it like 3 years ago or whatever, whenever the fuck was the last time we talked about this shit.
Who fucking cares?
This is Travis talking to Mr. Wavy about Tom DeLonge, and specifically Tom DeLonge on Neighborhoods and Dogs Eating Dogs. This is like Travis like peak throwing Tom under the bus right after the breakup, and they seem to be buds again now, but this is what Travis said.
I think Blink is like eternal youth for a lot of fans, a lot of kids. So I think it's like, we never, Mark and I personally never wanted to change, Yeah. Towards the last couple albums, it was like Tom was obsessed with U2 and wanted to sound like U2, and he wanted to, basically record songs that sound like Coldplay, and you know what I mean? And for us, it was always like, Blink is Blink, man. We want to sound like fucking Blink 182.
Yeah. So I don't know if you could hear it that well, but that's him again saying Tom wanted everything to sound like U2 and wanted everything to sound like Coldplay. And this song is like, you hear the organ at the start. I think Spin or someone said that it sounds like Arcade Fire at the start, but it definitely, this sounds very U2. But corny in a way that makes it incredibly charming and accurate. And really, bands like U2 and Coldplay are bands that like got over their early. I assume that like probably Chris Martin had a punk band when he was like 15, because everyone did. But then they moved on and were like, oh, I'm going to write these like emotional, embarrassing songs now. But they don't sound embarrassing in an awkward way. Like this is more true to form of what someone their age should and could be making that's sincere than writing She's Out of Her Mind in your 40s.
Well, yeah, and I mean, U2 quite famously started their career playing Ramones covers on like Irish television because they didn't have their own songs. So like the Ramones, U2 very, very much like sort of flies that flag. Probably too fucking much to be like, oh, we're actually punk. Like,
yeah,
thanks.
like what is that song called? Like The Ballad of Johnny Ramone.
Yeah. Where you're like, cool,
it's so bad.
I mean, those were but it's still there, and I also think again, like because a Blink in that structure was never going to be able to do like that's why Angels and Airwaves sucks because there's no one to like rein in Tom trying to sound like U2, and in that sense, like if you want to listen to U2, just listen to fucking U2. Like I don't know why I want to listen to.
I'm gonna pause you right there 1 second because listening to this song today made me think, and I don't know how we should do it because we should do a exclusive on The Adventure, obviously, because that song's sick. But I think that you and I should, like, for a couple months, listen to every Angels and Airwaves album and then do one exclusive about it and, like, try to actually engage with Angels
like because I never have, and that's actually I'm super into that.
Because I think if you listen to one song on its own, you're like, oh, this sucks ass. But maybe if you try to engage with the whole catalog, it'll be good.
I'm sure, yeah. Let's just, like, ruin all of our lives forever, I think is sort of what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like this isn't enough for you anymore.
People always talk about like being irony poisoned. Mm-hmm. And after we had your little friend from that pop podcast on here, there was like someone listening. We got a new listener who was like a pop fan. And they're like, so do you guys actually like Blink-182 or are you just like irony poisoned? And I feel like that's like a very like 2012 Twitter term. But I think lately I'm like earnest poisoned. I'm the opposite. I'm just like, I've gone so far that I now really like Dan Reynolds and Imagine Dragons. And I think I can understand why Bottom of the Ocean is a good song. And so I'm ready to like earnestly engage with Angels and Airwaves.
Okay, sick. Dude, I mean, again, for some foolish reason, I'm also into this. So let's do it. But I guess
what I'm trying to say is this song is like very cheesy in a lot of ways, but it also just feels more authentic and correct than some of the, quote, we're being Blink-182 now kind of vibe.
Well, yeah, like that's the thing is, and this is, I'm repeating myself, and unfortunately, there's 155 songs, and some of them are kind of similar. What makes me so fucking sad about the song is that you're like, this is real, and the stuff that comes after it is not. It's just like fundamentally inauthentic. And what works about this is it is the tension of Tom fighting to include these influences that don't really organically fit into the sort of like foundational sound of Blink, but that like kind of have to because he's there and he's writing and they have to like play around that in a way that works for them. And so the result is like, I think really exciting and really interesting because in the end, like there are enough U2 songs and there are enough like bands that were influenced by U2 kind of from the jump and have a deeper, more fundamental understanding of like that type of music. But like to kind of cop the bits and pieces of it that you want and put that into the sort of prefabricated structure of a Blink-182 song can be really fucking interesting. And it is on this song.
Yeah, it's so good. And I guess also what I'm talking about is like the lyrics are very overwrought and corny and like objectively bad, but they work so well here. And this is like, I feel like Angels and Airwaves, Tom like seems like sort of an elf. And just like the things he says seems very like he's saying things that are so corny and give you a chill, but because he looks like an elf and always like has this like little like Smurfs hat on and he just seems so like just like you're like, oh, this is like a little elf in the Shire reading me this thing about this like poem about getting old. That's how I'm into it.
Yeah. There is like an innocence to all of his like even when you think about the theft being perpetrated by the To the Stars Academy of Arts and Sciences, like selling scare quotes shares in a company, like without sort of going through the appropriate channels. Like it's all quite it's nefarious. And if someone who wasn't quite so like elfin in their just sort of day-to-day joyful interactions, like people would shit all over them. No one really kind of took the shit on that they should have, because it was like, he's just in the Shire trying to sell me shares in his space company now.
Exactly.
Imagine how well he could do if he was actually like a short man. Like if he was even more are elves short? I guess.
No, not
Some
really.
of them are tall.
For some
The
reason,
Keebler elves are small.
Tom kind of reminds me of the guy from Twin Peaks who like lives in that house with all those plants. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, totally.
I just found a good picture of him. Oh, I think his name's Harry Smith, maybe.
Yeah, there's something like extremely surreal about. Yeah, dude, totally. There's something like very Lynchian about Tom's entire existence.
Yeah, but also like Lynchian and yet very accessible. So he's basically just season 1 of Riverdale.
Right, yeah. I mean, Twin Peaks was on NBC. That was like a primetime cable show.
Yeah, true. I guess it's true. So maybe he's Lynchian / Mark Frost.
Yeah.
He's not just Lynchian.
He's Frost Lynchian. Right?
He's not Twin Peaks season 3.
No.
Was that a Frost Nixon joke that you just made?
It was, yes. It was, well, I didn't make it. I would say I
and it wasn't really a joke either, but it was definitely a sentence that you spoke.
Yeah, I spoke it, and now we're talking about it, which is troubling. But yeah, maybe it's more Frostian. But yeah, it's not like a sort of the unfolding of time as expressed through sort of abstract explosions and just video of atoms. Like, it's not season 3.
Not quite, although I think he's reaching for that.
Maybe that's what it is, but he's not quite there, and I think that's like totally fine. There's something endearing about that, and I don't know, what else do you want from people whose art you consume? You know what I mean? Like you want the most authentic version of them, and that's what this feels like, right?
Totally. But anyways, the lyrics, I just want to say, in addition to being cheesy, are like they have this like heartache and sadness to them that is so good. Mm-hmm. Like, I love when he says back to verse 2, as I like to reference lately, but he talks about everything seemed so huge and overwhelming, and his parents seemed so strong when he was young, and then he gets older and like everything's actually not that great, and no one's as strong as they seem, and just like it's kind of powerful in a weird way.
Well, I don't know. There's something like, I feel like finding out that your parents, I mean, I think it happens for different people at different times. Finding out that your parents are like fallible or like, weak in various capacities sort of happens at some point for everyone. But it's almost like the thing about like the cities being big and like the buildings being taller is such a like rudimentary. It's like the first time that you feel the passage of time is that moment when you like go back to your junior school or whatever. And you're like, this is two fucking hallways and like the coat rack is very low.
Yeah.
And do you remember before that ever feeling like it's this, and you've never experienced anything like that? Now, like you drive through neighborhoods where you used to live and like, the stores have changed, a building's been torn down. Like you still comment on it, but it's not like this alien emotion. And so I feel like what this song does so effectively is it actually like taps into something that you kind of take for granted now, which is like you constantly are aware of and commenting on the passage of time, but like this thing where you're just like your fucking brain blows up because of it. And it has to do with like its size and your parents, right? Like these things that like feel massive to you and everything shrinks, including them, right?
Well, even just the next part, life has a way, it showers with greatness, then takes it away, these pieces that made us, then teaches you things you'd never imagine. We all get the same, the memories, the burdens, the pictures we made, they still form a pattern. They cautiously say, does it all matter? Like, this is so, like, existential. It's
so
in a
good.
pop punk song with like bad flash art for a cover.
Yeah.
Like, it
I
doesn't
was
make
thinking,
any
we don't
sense.
need to talk about the art again, but when I pulled it up today, I was like, good fucking God, boys. Try
like-
harder.
Stop letting Travis get his buddies involved.
No.
Please.
But it's like...
But like this is just so like yearning and existential, and then it makes me think, well, To the Stars probably is a pretty sincere pursuit for him. Like he's actually questioning the cosmos and wants to do something with his life, and he doesn't want to do a Vegas residency and sound like quote Blink-182.
Have you ever doubted the sincerity of To the Stars, Academy of Arts and Sciences?
I mean, you literally 5 minutes ago said that it was a scam. So.
I did, but I said that he gets away with it because people like you can be perpetrating a scam without like I actually don't think that he's like Bernie Madoff. Like I don't think he's trying to.
Right, he's more like Tom Cruise, or like one of the celebs who thinks that Scientology works because Scientology is built to work only for them, and not like the non-rich people who are scrubbing their floors with toothbrushes and stuff.
Yeah, that's totally it. He's Tom Cruise, and that's it. Like I don't think that Tom is like consciously bilking fans of his for money. I think he thinks that like, okay, we couldn't offer shares this way because like our whatever. Like I don't understand how any of this fucking shit works, but like they couldn't do this legal route, but this new avenue opens up, and this is how we're going to do this. Is going to raise the money we need to do to accomplish these necessary tasks, and I'm opening up my fucking life's work to my fans, and is there anything better than that? No, and I know he believes that. Like, or I can't imagine him not believing that.
Right.
Listen to these lyrics.
He's a beautiful elf man.
He's the sweetest elf.
Elf Tom was a really underrated era because everyone was focused on how his singing was bad, but like what? You think elves are going to sing like normal people?
It's true, yeah. They definitely sing
But I will
wrong.
And then again, I think I like the chorus. I mean, I do like the chorus, obviously, but the lyrics are pretty good. But it is the Mark part that kind of throws me off. And when I've seen other people discuss the lyrics, they're confused too. Like when Mark says it doesn't hurt that much, is he trying to say when Tom's younger and he's having a hard time, he thinks it's the worst damn day of his life. But then in the context of a full life, it's not that bad because you can overcome anything as you get older or something. That's kind of the interpretation. But I'm starting to fear that it's one of those things where they're like, oh, you should sing something in here. And then in another room, he wrote down, it doesn't hurt that much, and got his co-writing credit.
Right.
That was it.
I don't know. I always interpreted it as a moment that made me want to crawl into a hole. Just shake.
Maybe
and
that was
cry.
the actual worst damn day of your life.
It was up there. I've experienced great trauma, and this is the worst thing.
I mean, since then, you have had to explain your Blink-182 podcast to people.
Yeah.
Which I think is a similar sort of feeling.
Yeah, it's true. It doesn't hurt, but it's bad. I feel like I've always interpreted it, especially because his delivery is sort of like it's not buoyant. Like, it's not like, we're moving on, things are good. Like, to me, it's always been like, at some point you just get numb to just this like deluge of shit. Like, that's the way that this feels to me.
So you're thinking it's like it doesn't hurt that much because every day sucks?
Yeah.
That's a very Josiah thing of you to say.
What can I say, man? It's it. I think it's just like recording so many of these podcasts close together where I'm just like sort of circling.
It doesn't hurt that much anymore.
Yeah, I was like,
You're
know what? It's bad, but the next day is going to be worse.
Just another fucking X on the calendar.
Yeah, but like, is that
and the march towards death? Hopefully,
is it? Hopefully, yeah. Is this? So is the popular sort of consensus on this that the idea is like it's the worst, but really it's not that bad? Is that how people?
Yeah,
are
like I think so. Yeah, there's a lot of long ass threads about this song. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the consensus. I don't know. I mean. Yeah, I don't know. Lyrically, I just think it kind of falls apart there because he's doing so much verbose elf wisdom in the verses, and then just to have that Mark part, it just doesn't really. I don't know. I don't know what it needs or what it doesn't need. But
well, it's the
I will
halftime
say,
thing, man. I think
yeah,
it
the
loses
halftime-
the urgency. Like it opens up and you're like, oh fuck! Like put it in my fucking veins. Like it's just like it's going, and then it's like, do you like this big chorus? And
I mean, I think the halftime rocks ass, but I think the halftime is like what brings it back to being a Blink song, kinda. It's like this big K-rock radio anthem. If it didn't have that, then it would be an Angels and Airwaves song. But that is what brings it back to Blink, I think.
It sounds like a California chorus to me. Like it's just like
it sounds like Bored to Death.
Yeah, totally. But it's not as good as Bored to Death.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, when I first heard this, I was like, God damn, that halftime is so sick.
I was just thinking, God damn, dude, stop singing at me. Like I just can't. Again, I can't offer an honest opinion here that isn't sort of colored by my personal trauma.
But the reality is, like, when Tom is involved, they can make a song that sounds like you're ascending to heaven at the start, then has this, like, collarless leather jacket Tom Cruise feel of, like, cruising down the highway, listening to this fast part, and it can have elf lyrics, and it can have a modern rock chorus, and it all kind of works together in one song because of Tom. Like, this is what Tom adds.
Yeah, I mean, Tom's the glue, baby.
Tom's the fucking wild card.
He's sweet little elfin glue, baby.
But I don't know. I feel like we've been talking about the song too much. And the thing is, I was really feeling tired of talking about the song when I was reading this Reddit thread that I just sent you. Because I just feel like people who have opinions about music at this point are punishers. I just don't care anymore. I just want everyone to shut up.
You know what? I was kind of thinking that last night. Like I watched this movie that through much of it, I thought, oh, I wonder if Josiah's seen this, and maybe I could recommend it as you might set yourself on fire watching it. It's called Hearts Beat Loud. And
it's my God! I know. I'm aware of it.
Very twee. Yeah,
it's wrong. Yeah, like, and that's the other problem is the word twee. Like we've been talking about how some words need to have more words. Like twee to me is like cool, kind of wimpy indie rock, but the real twee is actually what you're describing, which is like 2006 Put a Bird on It vibe.
Yeah, exactly. And so the film contains multitude of sins, but one of the things that irked me consistently throughout
Does Ron Swanson talk about breakfast foods?
No, he doesn't. But there are...
I saw for all you Sureheads out there, I saw that Lil Sebastian was in a recent episode of that Forkin show, The Good Place. There's a little Easter egg for all you Sureheads. I'm sure that you enjoyed that thing.
Definitely there's a lot of people that listen to this podcast for update on Mike Schur sitcoms. So
anyways, you watched the Ron Swanson Music Is My Life movie?
Yes, I did. And there are multiple scenes in which characters engage in like very earnest conversations about records that they've like recommended to the other character. So it's like, oh, did you listen to that Animal Collective record? Yeah, I loved this song. Oh, that song's amazing. Oh, let's watch this Mitski video on YouTube. And they like talk about Mitski. And you're like, the whole time, again, your skin is just like levitating off of your body. It's crawling so much. Like there's like air between your real body and your derms.
Your epidermis is showing.
Yeah, exactly. And by the third time one of these conversations happened where I was like, fuck this movie. What I realized is like, what do I want people to talk about in movies? Because like I will talk about like Mitski with my friends, and like I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with like literally this is what we're fucking doing is we're spending 2 hours ostensibly talking about individual Blink-182 songs, and yet I totally agree with you. So this is a Reddit thread. When I was young, it's both underrated and underappreciated song. Prove me wrong, and I'm already like, fuck this.
Yeah, fuck you. Go fuck yourself, you loser. But I think what it is
why
is like,
is that?
I think it might be that. Now bear with me. Mm-hmm. I think, for example,
I have
things
for a long
like
time.
Things like religion. You don't want to actually talk about the nitty-gritty of things like that unless you really know someone well. And you don't want to talk about like if someone says how's it going and then you overshare. That's kind of like gross if you don't know them that well.
Are you saying this because I said God wasn't real last night? Is that what this is about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, or like I read an article once about how the reason that Facebook posts can be so infuriating is because you don't love the person. So like if someone's like, boy, I had a horrible week at work and now my dog is sick and blah blah blah, and you're just like, I don't give a shit, I barely know you, and so it's like it makes your skin crawl because you don't love them, so you don't have the empathy to care. And I think the issue might be maybe that it's strangers who don't know each other that well wanting to debate and rank and discuss music, where like someone can tell me that Alkaline Trio is the best American band ever and get frustrated that I don't care about them, but they don't know the entire context of who I am or what I'm like or what I'm into. So it's like a completely impossible thing. Like you can't discuss music as if it has objective value or flaws based on nothing. Like you have to know the context of the person and their situation and everything. I don't know. Like you need to. It's just so crass and gross to be like, this is the most underrated song. Prove me wrong. Like, fuck off.
I mean, I agree with you, and I think it sort of ties into maybe one of the larger discoveries that has occurred throughout the duration of this podcast, which is that, like, there is zero difference between good and bad things, you moron, you fucking imbecile. Like, we talk about this almost every fucking episode now. Like, that... And this came up in the Switched on Pop episode, which is that, like, this idea of things being objectively good and bad is foolish. And while we still do it, like I'm still constantly calling things good and bad. The reality is that I think at least when you and I engage with it, or when we maybe engage with our friends, we kind of understand that as the underpinning of the conversation. That in some way it's just like theater to talk about it, but to sort of put it in this context is like, why don't you just have this conversation on a podcast with your friend?
Yeah, why don't you just do it publicly on a podcast instead of on this very niche thread where everyone does want to debate it?
Yeah, why don't you ask your friends for money to hear you do this?
I don't know. I just find in general, like, talking about music should be done in private. It's a very shameful thing.
Right.
People should be ashamed of themselves.
Yeah, talking about music is like masturbating, or like, you know, like it feels good, but just like there's a time and a place.
It's like pooing.
Yeah, or shitting.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know, but then this whole thread just gets like fucking crazy, and people are like, oh, like this thread is it's one of the longest threads I've seen on this.
Is that what you seemed sort of like already tired of talking about the song when like I said hello to you at the beginning of our call?
It's because I scrolled through this, and then also somebody rickrolled in this thread, and it's only a month old, and I'm just like, I can't cope with this anymore. Everyone needs to shut up.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, definitely wow, I just clicked on that.
And then somebody argued and said Pretty Little Girl is more underrated than this, which is, like, insane. Because that song's called Pretty Little Girl.
Yeah. Is that the one with Yella?
I think so.
I recall that not being good. But, sorry, I recall it being great. Yellow Wolf, please come on the podcast.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, I love the song, too, and I do think it's underrated. And I do dare anyone to prove me wrong, but at the same time, I would never write that down.
No, you just... It's a crucial distinction.
I don't know. It's like, I also... Yeah, you're right. It's like completely hypocritical to point it out, but at the same time, people who insist on like ranking music is so irritating to me.
I mean, I love a good list. Like I do, but to me, it's about like I like engaging. I like engaging with people like you, like you know, our friends. Like I think that's really fun, and so it's fun for me to make top 10 lists for the year or whatever. Like I think that's all part of engaging in like a worthwhile discourse. But I guess what we're talking about also more specifically is like you and I are not Reddit people, and we're also not really Facebook people. Do you post a lot on Facebook?
No, I don't.
That I don't get. Is there people that I know and like who like want to really have spirited debates on Facebook, and I don't understand that impulse, and I don't understand.
Actually, I kind of hate all debates of any kind.
Right. So what are we doing here, Joseph? Like what?
I don't know. I'm so lost.
Yeah, I mean.
I think the other thing that I'm really reacting strongly to is the prove me wrong part, because I have found that like when I say that I don't like something, people take it as a challenge to make me like it, but it's like I already said I don't like it and I don't have to like it. Like why? It's like when you're younger, when I was young, start the episode now, but you know when you'd have like a grandparent or someone who's like oh, no, you will like this food. You just need to eat it. Like, you need to eat it more, and then you'll like it.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, I don't like that food. And they're like, yeah, but you just haven't tried it enough.
Yeah.
And it's like,
you'll develop a taste for it.
I don't have to like everything.
Are you like mad about eating your vegetables right now? Is that what's going on?
Yes. No, there's a really gross Mennonite dish that my grandma makes. God bless her. But it's like this dessert soup called plumamousse, and it's like it's like
if you were
purple...
doing a bit about Mennonites right now, I would be like, you're killing it, man. It's great.
Yeah. No, it's real. It's this purple soup that has like dates and raisins in it, and it's a hot dessert soup. And whenever I visit, she's like, I made your favorite. And I'm like, I have never liked this in my entire life. And then I have to like slurp back this like raisin soup in front of her.
Aw, I love that.
And that's what like the alkaline trio is to me. So stop trying to prove me wrong.
So am I your grandma, like in that particular scenario?
In a lot of scenarios, actually, in my fantasies, you're my grandma. But we don't need to talk about that right now.
That's a separate pod.
That's the one thing that's more crass than talking about ranking music.
Fantasies. Incest
but then,
fantasies?
I mean, I must admit my hypocrisy further and say that I still do think that my opinions are correct.
Yeah, of course.
And everyone else, like, it's just, I don't know.
I think it's fair to judge people for behavior that you engage in because I just think it's very human. And I think we just need to recognize that sort of hypocrisy is embedded in our souls.
Exactly.
And then just go about our day. Like, stop trying to fix ourselves or fix other people. Like, just be like, yeah, that's true. I've also done that. And I still think it's despicable. It's like all kinds of online behavior, right? It's like lurking people and doing weird shit. Like, no, like people joke about it in the abstract, but no one ever actually talks about it. Because if they did, you'd be like, that's fucking weird, man. You shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Except you're doing it. Like everyone's doing it.
Exactly. Like, I think it's gross when people tweet a list of who unfollowed them on Twitter, but I also like know who unfollows me, but I just don't share it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so there's a part of you that just thinks that, again, it's they're taking a shit in public, and you're like, well, look, I took a shit 10 minutes ago, but like, keep it in the room.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe there should just be a room for sharing opinions.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like the also just the general, like, everyone's an expert on everything. That's annoying. And that's also why podcasts are annoying. And that's why everyone should stop listening to this podcast.
Right. I mean, I think we're making a very good case for it on our own.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like all the proof is there.
Here's a fun little factoid. On Neighborhoods, they just recorded it via email. And maybe some of the good parts got lost in the spam folder. Just kidding. Just a little email joke.
Yeah.
And also, I'd hate for them to try to do that today. What with the new Gmail redesign?
Do you think all the lyrics would be like, sounds good?
Yeah, they do the autofill.
Yeah. It's just to get more specific with that joke.
They did reconvene to do this one together, Dogs Eating Dogs. And they recorded it together at Tom's studio in San Diego, which I don't think we've ever talked about. Is called Never Pants Ranch, which is really good.
That's a good joke.
That's good. And I like, again, that there's this elf poem about growing old and the sadness of that, but it was recorded at Never Pants Ranch.
Again, it's what was so great about even something like his kind of concerning Joe Rogan podcast appearance is that Tom is capable of not just containing, but like expressing multitudes. And so, whereas I think other people kind of decide they're going to be a thing, like, you always have friends like this where you're like,
they decide a persona.
Yeah, like, I'm a serious punk guy now, and you're like, but you were like the goofy punk guy a year ago, and it's like, but now serious. You're like, okay, that's cool. I think it's like easy for people to sort of, it's like you get option paralysis. So there's too many ways to be, and so you just kind of decide on like a model for your life, and you follow that. And what's so great about Tom, and I think what gives him almost that like both like his appearance, but I think this sort of carefree elfin quality that we're so fixated on is that like we've talked about so much, he's not being calculated because he's capable of being like, I'm a serious spaceman now, and I need billions of dollars to travel through time, and also balls. And you're like, that's great. That's fucking great.
He really does kind of remind me of Kanye, actually.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting. He's totally just like pop punk Kanye without any of the like troubling latter-day politics.
Or possibly some troubling politics. Who knows?
Sure,
like,
I just mean,
really know.
He's not out there like stumping for the bad guys.
True. But yeah, I mean, in the same way that Kanye is like, basically whenever he's not saying bad things, you know that he just has a manager who's in control of his Twitter.
Yeah.
I think Tom is the same way. And when Kanye will publicly tweet like, I'm opening a Yeezy store in every strip mall in America and it's gonna cure cancer somehow.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Tom could also tweet that exact same thing.
Yeah, totally. Do you think they've like ever hung out, or do you think they were famous at the wrong times? Like that their fame peaked? Because like if Kanye had been more famous like 10 years earlier, for sure they would have been on like radio festival type things or like award shows together. But as it stands, and because like we've talked about this before, like Fall Out Boy veered so hard into like embracing their love of hip hop, and Blink never did that except for Travis, who's sort of been on a separate tip than like a Kanye thing. So
yeah, that's interesting. Because also, yeah, at what point? I guess College Dropout would have come out right after like they broke up the first time.
Yeah.
So they kind of did pop up at different times. I'm seeing on Kanye too that apparently Kanye follows Blink-182 on Spotify or something.
Oh shit! Okay, because
So
yeah,
that's
like
pretty good.
just can you picture like that press conference that Tom held to be like, I've like working with various members of the DoD, CIA, and FBCAA, like. That was extremely like a Kanye kind of move where you're like, I am legitimizing myself. Like I'm going into fashion and you're all fucking making fun of me, but I'm legitimizing myself by like like working with sort of greats in this field and then ultimately doing, work and like, actually like putting out shit. So I guess Tom's not quite at the stage where like he has proven it to anyone yet, but in a lot of ways their paths are sort of similar where you're like, I'm over music. I'm this now.
Another crossover was Kanye did use Mod Life.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So that's kind of a thing. So they are kind of in the same atmosphere of like this sort of like God complex / extreme greed, I think.
Do you think that Tom ever like sat down and pitched Kanye? Because you imagine like that was probably a lot of like high touch one-to-one marketing going on, right? Like he probably had to go to probably the actual rock stars and artists themselves to be like, you guys should adopt this program, right? Because
actually, I wanted to do exclusive on this, but I don't really know how we ever could, because
what
Ezra
do you perceive to be the limits of this podcast? I'm very curious.
Well, there's just not enough to talk about it for a long time, but I really wanted to get someone involved. But the thing is, Ezra Koenig is so. Like, I listen to Time Crisis a lot, and he refuses to ever say anything that could be perceived as, like, rude about someone. He's, like, you times a million, or, like, Mark... Like, he's, like, the most calculated nice guy out there. Sick. But very famously, I just sent you this Vulture link that I've had on my desktop in one of my untitled files for a long time. Vampire Weekend was shooting a documentary when they first kind of blew up, and while the documentary was rolling... Tom DeLonge like pitched them on Mod Life, and apparently it was super embarrassing and awkward.
Wow!
Like this is my dream as for this podcast. This is like the dream scenario to talk about. But yeah, apparently it was like super embarrassing, and I don't know. It's just like he just seemed like kind of an out of touch, like generation older, name dropping all this money and like how they could blow up and stuff, and they're like, oh, we're just like cool indie guys, but he was just like didn't get it or so. I don't know. Apparently it was a super awkward run in.
Well, yeah.
But then Ezra Koenig later on was like, oh no, that was totally misinterpreted. They shouldn't have written that. It wasn't awkward at all. But like you can tell it was.
Well, should we read this section?
Yeah, please do.
Okay, after the interview, he led the band into a conference room with a flat screen TV and launched into a long pitch for an internet project he was working on, a prepackaged website for bands called Mod Life. I term it an operating system, DeLong said. You could sell music, you could sell movies, you could sell advance tickets, you could sell advertising, you could do automated VIP parties. We're going to be putting in live auctions, e-commerce, he continued. We're doing it with the White Stripes. He said Vampire Weekend could do all of its business through Mod Life, with the website taking 25% of the profits. Emphasis mine. He demonstrated a video chat room function by talking to a group of his fans. Hey everybody, I'm doing a demonstration with Vampire Weekend. If you want Vampire Weekend to be on Mod Life, say yes. The chat room users started responding, yes, yes, yes. One wrote, no. Oh, that's so good.
And then he was like talking about talking to them about video blogging. Do you want to do normal blogs, or do you want to do it in the dark and have lasers going and make it look like you're from space and not call it a blog, call it a space cam? What have you guys been doing for a website? And then Rostam said, 3 out of 4 of us are on Twitter. It's just like so.
Wow.
And then DeLong eventually at the end said, why are you guys so mellow? And then the best part is the part at the end when Rostam again says, and this is kind of actually fits perfectly with the song. I started thinking about all kinds of things while he was talking, like what it means to be in a band. Tom DeLonge is not that old. He's 33, 7 years older than me. That's crazy. And then another member said, you gotta hustle. No one spoke for a while.
Oh, shit. So Tom is my age doing this like dog and pony show for Vampire Weekend. That's weird,
I mean,
man.
no offense, but I could see you doing that maybe.
This is sort of part of my job. Let's be honest. I'm just not famous or like rich.
But that corniness does have this charm to it that people like Vampire Weekend, who are cool in infinite ways except for this one way where they seem sort of approachable in their clumsiness and their uncoolness. Like, I would be nervous to hang out with Vampire Weekend because they would be so cool and probably wearing, like, the coolest shit. But I wouldn't be nervous to hang out with Tom DeLonge because he's so corny and just a wonderful elf man.
Yeah, we'd probably get along great. When he eventually comes on the pod, I think it's going to be, like, a real, a blossoming friendship that will begin. Okay, so did you have, like, other spooky facts, or are we into covers?
I just wanted to say, along what we were just saying, I just realized that we've done so many episodes in advance that we've kind of been having a Vampire Weekend.
Jesus fucking Christ, dude.
Let's take that again with you, and then you can laugh really hard. Okay. Do one of those cute hard laughs that people seem to like.
Okay, do people like those?
Yeah, I saw someone saying they loved one of your hard laughs recently.
Okay, so this is, let's see if I can fake it. Okay, try again.
Let's see if you can fake it. Hey, Sam, I was thinking, based on what we were just talking about with Ezra Koenig and the boys.
Yeah.
And considering we've done so many episodes in advance to make up for your upcoming trip, and it's technically still, like, for me, it's a holiday today, so it's not a normal Monday. So I was going to say, we've kind of been having a Vampire Weekend.
Oh, wow. That was a great joke.
Honestly, that felt really good. I knew it was fake, but it still felt really good. It made me feel good about myself.
It doesn't matter if it's real. If it feels good for you, Josiah, it's fine. That's all I want.
Now fake an orgasm.
That's behind the paywall.
Well, before we get full into covers, I wanted to just share. So my wife works for like a stock footage company, and she sort of works with companies to help them. She works with places like HBO and stuff to help them get the best stock footage. And often it's a lot of like, establishing shots, like the outside of a house or things like that. But a new thing lately is called UGC. That's what everyone wants now.
Yeah, man. User-generated content.
Yeah, I knew that you would know it. Which just seems stupid to me because isn't everything user-generated? Like, come up with... I feel like all of you fucking people need to come up with better jargon. That doesn't make sense to me. Like, remember when Ashley was telling us some pod number measurement and it's called, like, thousands per million or something? Or like,
well, that's not a pod measurement. So CPMs, which is a common term used in digital advertising, but it doesn't mean cost per million for some fucking reason. And that I can't tell you. It's like cost per thousand, but it's.
I feel like people who go to too many conferences and panels just forget how to speak normal language.
Well, but
and just everything becomes jargon, and everything has to have some dumb thing like UGC that doesn't make sense to me. But it's stupid.
As opposed to like PGC, which would be professional generated content. I don't know. I don't think that that's a real term. I mean, I think that slang or the jargon exists for the same reason that slang exists, right? Which is that like it's ultimately a way of like, and not exclusively this, but it like closes off the group, right? So you're like, I went to all these conferences. I know what CPMs are. And it's a way of like insulating your group and like making it seem that you know something special when in fact like
it's a way to climb.
Yeah, totally.
Well, anyways, I found some good UGC with this song.
Sick.
This is, I think it's just the song in the background, but it's Ekaterina Odintsova's birthday party.
Oh.
So they're just like hanging around, and this is shot like this does look like a filmmaker made fake UGC.
Yeah,
it's like too perfectly handheld.
Like all the kids are like very sweet. It looks like there's like, you know, just naturally occurring diversity in the characters.
Yeah, exactly.
Like this is not real. There's some slow motion stuff. It's so nice.
This is definitely an ad. This is definitely some sort of ad.
Yeah, I am 100% buying whatever camera it is that they're selling me here. Huh, that's so nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought you might want to see some nice UGC.
I love UGC.
There's a boy playing in a fountain, and they've got some balloons now. It's just really nice. And the clouds are in the background. It's like very like... And they picked a really good song, too. Like, I'm pretty sure that this is an ad executive, not an actual teen. But maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, everyone is their own ad executive in the future. It also only has one comment, which looks to be in Russian. And it's such a cool video, so cheerful and friendly. More video play, which I have to say, I agree. More video play, please.
I thought you were going to say that it was about buying the new HTC
no,
phone
I was going to be like, yes, I have also heard good things about this new protein.
New protein. Well, anyways, up next, I just do want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
What if Blink-182's When I Was Young had a guitar solo?
I can't imagine that. So much better.
Now, I hate to follow up a question with another question, but what if 2 years later the same person did a different guitar solo over that song?
It's hard to know.
Just what if? Just a pure what if scenario. I guess I should say not a different guitar solo, but the same guitar solo uploaded again in better quality.
Right, I was going to say, like...
Shot 2 years later.
Okay, cool. But
the real issue I have is, again, like, people are really good at cosplaying being Tom sometimes or being Mark, but this guy just seems to just put a guitar solo on. Like, just a guitar solo.
Not so are you saying you wish that he was more like Leo Diho?
Look, I wish we were all a little more like Leo Diho.
In which ways?
No, I don't think that, but I think, like, it's just weird to me. Like, why would you just... He's just trying to show off that he's pretty good at guitar, but, like...
It sounds like you're jealous, to be honest.
I'm a little jealous.
Yeah.
I'm a little jealous.
It's okay.
Yeah, so there's two of those. And then before we get into covers, one more thing.
2 of those.
Someone did mash this up with Childish Gambino.
Is it good?
I don't know. I mean, is Childish Gambino good? I feel like only until very recently was I able to handle him because I just associate him with Community, which is another TV show that I
think
hate.
a lot of people felt that way, where it was like everyone was like, "This sucks" and is annoying, and then all of a sudden Atlanta happened, and it was like, "Wait, is Donald Glover like really fucking good?" And then there was like the
he was
good
one of those
Childish
guys
Gambino record.
He was one of those guys that seemed like he was just like pretty good at everything, but not good at like being likable. Just like he's good at, but in an annoying way, and then he got good in a cool way.
Yeah. So congrats to you, Donald Glover. You're good in a cool way now.
You've gotten the Blink-155 approval.
Yeah.
So here's
it's gonna really change things.
When I was young, I ate vegetables. Blink-182 Childish Gambino remix by Tony DiBiase.
I mean, sure.
I liked it.
Yeah.
It made me realize the intro organ thing on its own is already so good. And again, this song just delivers so much. There's so many good parts packed into it.
Yeah, like it totally works as just like a background beat. It's great.
Yeah, it's good. All right, so you want to talk about some covers or what?
I fucking do, man.
Are you sure?
No.
There's still time to turn
still
back.
Time to imagine if like now we're just like, no, this is it. The joke earlier where we said we're gonna stop, that's it. No, now it's real. No, I'm ready. I'm ready now.
Just at a very frustrating medium-sized episode, we stop. Instead of doing it at a point where it could be a bit, we do it at an area where it's just like so kind of normal that it's just irritating and not funny to anyone.
Right, yeah. I think that'd be good. I feel like that'd be in keeping with the spirit of the pod.
Yeah, just like being irritating for no good reason.
Yeah, exactly. No, I've decided I want to hear the covers.
Okay, well, let's start with this is by Bailey182 on SoundCloud, and this is just a cover of the bridge. So this is just like an early demo. I think probably Bailey182 was working on a cover of the song, and then got too excited about it that they're just like, I'm just going to release the bridge. That's the part that everyone wants to hear.
Yeah, that's the hottest part of the song.
So here's a cover of the bridge. So good work, Bailey182.
I mean, again, that could have been like a pretty like sick beat to rap over, you know?
Well, why didn't you? That was your chance.
Oh shit. Okay. Run it back.
Okay. One second. Actually, I'm just checking if So Bailey182 said, "Oh, I just did the bridge, but I promise you I'll release the full cover next week." And I didn't really check to see. But that was 5 years ago.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
And I don't think Bailey ever did. Bailey's done a bunch of other stuff, but I think it's just so, okay, let's run it back.
You know, back, I never left. Another sprint, another step, another day, another breath. We chasing dreams, but I never slept. I got a new attitude and a lease on life. I think this guy's making it really hard. But that was just off the dome, just a freestyle.
That was a real freestyle.
That was a true freestyle.
It sounded like you were Googling something.
No. That was just I had to send an email earlier, so I don't know how that's going to sound mixed together.
You didn't quickly go to Wiki how to freestyle.
How to rap. No, I definitely didn't just search Macklemore genius and click on the top result. That's not what happened at all.
I've noticed that you pronounce Macklemore the correct way that he wants it to be pronounced, which is Macklemore.
What's the way that you say it to like irritate him or whatever?
Macklemore.
Oh, Macklemore, and I say Macklemore.
Yeah, I think you say it the right way.
We're already talking too much about him. I don't want to give him this whole privilege.
Something I really love about this song and the arrangement is that like in the cover world, the intro is so evocative and epic that if someone comes in and say they're a little bit out of tune, it's really, really funny.
Sick.
Especially because this kid, whose username is Mozilla00 Firefox, which is also fucking amazing.
That's like legitimately sick, yeah.
He uploaded this cover on YouTube where like he's in front of a window and it's in a dark room and it's like so beautiful and evocative and he's like looking out the window while he's waiting for the intro. It's like, I just sent it to you. It's like the lighting is so good and moody and...
Oh yeah, there's a whole vibe in here.
He's getting all pumped up. He's getting all ready. He's like pacing back and forth. He looks outside. He gets into his rock stance. It's so good.
This just seems like a great bedroom to be a vibey teen in.
Yeah, totally. I like his ringer tee too. This is a cool ass teen. He's just like totally like vibing, so ready to go. Doesn't matter that he didn't tune his guitar at all because it's just like so ready to vibe out. Like also just in tune enough.
Yeah, like it's just like everything else seems so ready to go.
Yeah, he had the lighting perfect.
Yeah. I don't know. You know what? It's like that's going to be the last time you make that mistake, I think.
Yeah, because people were complaining about it being out of tune.
Yeah, well, it's super fucking out of tune.
I mean, I kind of love it.
Yeah, no.
Being out of tune is pretty cool, actually.
I get that that's like your people's thing.
Yeah. My people.
Yeah.
But along the same vibe is this. I just love that people who are terrible at playing the song insist on having the full pre-recorded intro. Yeah. It's so good.
I mean, again, it's just this has like a whole introduction. Like a whole iMovie.
What's that called? Like the countdown from old timey movies.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, just like
that. It's just called that. So this band is called Endless Holiday, and I just want to note before I started the top comment is just someone saying, "All that expensive equipment for nothing." Oh. So once again, the. It's also just a horrible video.
But like, where are they playing? Yeah, they have such huge bottles of water. Like, this is an elaborate stage setup. Like, there's a lot of lights. There's like a projector. The drummer's still rearranging his kit. Like, he's literally like...
He's like setting up.
He's literally moved his hi-hat. Oh, I'm so excited about this.
The bass starts getting all pumped up. I mean, it wasn't that bad, but it's just it's the roughness of it is really emphasized when you play the full intro.
Yeah.
That makes it sound like
yeah, it's just that perfectly processed introduction into the cover itself is fine. In general, though, I just feel like they had all that expensive equipment for nothing.
Wait, are you Colin England? Are you YouTube user Colin England?
Yes. Oh no, my alt identity, where I post things like Colin's stupid song actually, and the Gonks demo. These are all mine.
Colin England is a little shit talker, so I'm going to see what his guitar video sounds like. This is called July 20, 2016. Let's see how you are, Colin England.
Oh yeah.
Wow, I remember my first pentatonic scale. fuck you, Colin England.
Wow. Take that, Colin England, you fuck.
Yeah, you fuck. I prefer whatever that other band was called that I already forget and I'll never remember.
Nope, it's gone. It's totally gone. But respect to them. No respect to Colin England.
Actually, I'm not going to play that yet. I'm going to play something else before I'm back on my chef shit.
Oh, okay, sick.
This one is just specifically for you, in not a good way. But I just want you to look at the artwork. I feel like we've seen this before, maybe even.
I like the idea of something's. What the fuck? Maybe we've just seen other people busking outside of LCBOs.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh no, these people did cover Anthem Part 2, so maybe we played that.
It. So it's just two guys busking outside of an LCBO, which is the Ontario Liquor Control Board of Ontario. It's the only way you can buy alcohol
and they're in Sarnia, which is one of those places that you can't say without having a Canadian accent.
Sarnia. Oh.
What's the deal with Sarnia?
Sarnia is across the border from Port Huron, Michigan, and so there's a border crossing there. It's not a great one. And we played there once with a Wilhelm scream, and much like the border, it was not a great one.
Well, let's hear how the LCBO buskers are in dear old Sarnia.
I woke up today, surrounded by blackness, the small morning sun devoured the process, it's always been fun. When I get up and nervous and it's hard to say, but I feel a bit weightless the more I admit. I feel a bit anxious the more I go on, the less I can face this and those rotten things that live in our shadow. We walked on the line of death and the gallows and hope that we clear a path we can follow. It's the worst damn day of my life.
I'm not trying to be mean, but I would bet money that you're friends with these people on Facebook.
Do you know their names?
Well, the uploader is Jules Parit.
Okay, let's find
out. I
out.
don't know if that's the...
I was just thinking, like, imagining if I, like... Jules Parit. Let's see. Like if I was just buying like some beer at an LCBO and these guys were outside singing like a sort of Blink-182 deep cut, how strange that would be. Okay, let's see.
But you did like that, didn't you? I mean,
I did.
Even if you say that you... Even if you said that you didn't like it, I would know that you did. Like, there's no hiding.
No, I totally thought that was great. So I found Jules Perret from Sarnia, and we not only are not friends, we have no friends in common. So
what?
Yeah.
Damn.
So not
my
to
whole
brag,
world is shattered.
Yeah.
My God. Damn. Well, that sucks. I mean, you are still friends with them. Maybe they're like those people are like
you are
the,
still friends with them. I was like, wait, no, we just established I'm not.
They're like the Shelbyville Millhouse to your Millhouse.
Yeah, that's totally accurate for sure.
But there is sort of this song does really play well as like a shitty lo-fi song as well.
I mean, I believe
so
that
let's get away from like
well as every song. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good song. So this also looks familiar. this SoundCloud band called the Beatles. Beetuhls.
Yeah, it feels familiar, but who knows how.
Yeah, I don't know. Good thing no one's keeping track of this podcast.
Exactly. It's for the best.
Yeah, but let's hear this one. Mess, but
awesome though.
Yeah, if someone told me that was a Guided by Voices B-side, I'd be like, oh, maybe I should listen to Guided by Voices.
Right. Yeah, it's true. Every time like that a Guided by Voices song pops up on a playlist, I'm like, do I like Guided by Voices? Then there's too many songs. And in my mind, that's exactly how they all sound. And maybe they're more worthy of our attention.
Yeah, but then again, they are another example of a prove me wrong sort of thing, where like me saying that I'm indifferent towards Guided by Voices, some people take that on as like, oh, my life's work has led to convince this person that they're good. And then
there's definitely a Guided by Voices playlist coming your way right now.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be the first. But anyways, that was good. I liked it.
That was so fucking good.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of disappointing. I don't know.
I can't always disagree, man.
This one that I just sent you, look, it's bad. It's not, something's not working and it's bad.
Okay, because the thumbnail is like two young women just like looking like playing guitar, having a nice time, and I was like, this is extremely Josiah. So you saying that you didn't like it is concerning to me.
I'm not. No. Don't put words in my mouth. I'm not saying I didn't like it. I'm saying I have to admit that it's bad. Okay. But I love it. It's like very, like they're playing two different songs basically. Okay. But it's super charming. So this is uploaded by Lydia McDonald. So let's check out their cover.
This is when I was young. We probably recorded this about 100 times. Because my fucking, sorry for swearing, my crappy voice. We've just learnt this song. It's by Blink-182. Well, she did. When I was young. Hope you enjoy it. Do it? Yeah. Good. I woke up today surrounded by blackness. The small morning sun devoured the process. It's always been fun when I get a bit nervous, and it's hard to say, but I feel a bit weightless the more I admit. I feel a bit anxious the more I go on. The less I can face this and these certain things.
At the 46-second mark, the girl playing guitar whispers, "It's a different key."
But I don't think that's the problem.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's definitely part of it. Like, I think they need to hit a root note together before they start, so that they're like on the same page. Yeah, you can't. But it's also just so charming and great to just, I don't know. I mean, this is the best. I love it.
No, I mean,
this is the kind of shit that YouTube is made for.
I totally agree, but yeah, it's definitely it feels like a bit of a freestyle situation, which I can respect, as that is my art form as well.
As a freestyle rap, as king of the dot or whatever.
Yeah. As part of noted homophobic. Anyway, it's fine.
Yes, your people.
Yeah, exactly.
But to sort of go further down the teen girl YouTube rabbit hole, this one is very good. This is uploaded by Viking Wizard Eyes 0182, so you know she's like a head. She's a true head. This was uploaded in 2012, and this is also the same song.
so great.
I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so good. And the video is like probably, I don't know, it looks like it's about like 280p or something. Like it's super lo-fi.
Yeah.
Everything is cut off and dark. And it's just this. Now that is some UGC, baby.
Yeah, yeah. Do you remember the episode where you first discovered Viking Wizard Eyes?
Was that the documents?
Maybe, yeah.
That was the thing in the documents that I was like, oh, it's probably going to be that their holding company is Viking Wizard Eyes.
Did we not watch something else from this user, or is this just...
Well, Viking Wizard Eyes is like the name of their holding company, so I don't know.
Right.
We
So
might
that's
have.
why I'm like, it feels familiar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you just like don't remember anything that we talk about ever.
No.
But she has
I thought it
played
was like, oh, it's a
multiple
user.
songs that we've done.
Okay, yeah.
There is a chance we've explored this one
We've
before.
just watched a lot of grainy videos of young people in their bedrooms, and so hard to
It really does sound. It does sound very creepy when I preface these, but I promise you, I'm not liking them for any sinister reason other than that they're very charming and innocent.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It's. I think a lot of people like these videos because of the innocence.
Yeah, but when you talk about it out loud, you're like, yeah, there's this like
so
naive
innocent.
young kid in a room in front of their webcam, and they're playing this song, and it's so soft.
No, I've never heard your voice go there. That was good.
I mean, either. I didn't even know I could.
It's your.
I guess it's
your tube voice, your tube tone.
Yeah, so moving along before I get arrested, for another acoustic vibe, I got two left for you, but one more acoustic vibe. We may as well visit old Showalter himself.
Oh.
And like we usually do skip his covers because he does so many, but like he does actually rule. Let's be honest.
We gotta get him on the pod.
Odie acoustic fucking rocks.
He rocks, man. He's more popular than us. Like, it would be an honor.
Yeah. I want to get him on and make him watch like really bad acoustic covers.
Oh, that'd be
and see what
good.
he
Yeah.
thinks of them.
Like how I feel when we listen to like bad fest stuff, and I'm like, I see myself in this,
although,
and it's.
I don't know. I wonder if Odie would be mean, or if he would. I wonder what he'd be like.
I don't know. There's only one way to find out how Odie would be.
So here's Odie singing "When I Was Young," which I believe is referring to the prequel of Wet Hot American Summer.
Right.
I woke up today surrounded by blackness. The small morning sun devoured the process. It's always been fun. When I get a bit nervous and it's hard to say, but I feel a bit weightless the more I admit. I feel a bit anxious the more I go on. The less I can face this and those rotten things that live in our shadow. We walk on the line of death and the gallows and hope that we clear a path we can follow. It's the worst ending of my life. I made a mess today, but I'm alright.
Odie.
Odie.
Odie. Sweet Odie. That's.
I mean, it's also like not things that I like at all what he's doing, but it's just so good that you can't deny
That's it, man. Because you're capable of understanding that things that you don't like can be good now because good and bad don't exist.
Exactly. The only thing that is bad is the prove me wrong people.
Right? Yeah. We've called so many things bad this episode, but it's like, but really we're beyond that, so it's cool.
I would love to interview Odie acoustic, but then like halfway through be like, so what about the other guy that plays with you? And just pretend that I think that they're beside each other. Yeah. That he has a twin.
So who's?
I don't understand split screens.
It's just too much technology for us. Audio is way simpler.
Okay, I'm gonna end with and this upload confused me on a previous episode because someone used this artwork for a Richard Cheese cover that we had already played.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But this is not Richard Cheese. This is part of Jazz Goes Punk, which somebody has uploaded. I don't know if this is a real comp you can buy or something. Who really cares, you know?
I mean, I'll take a quick look, but yeah, it's fine. Oh,
you do. You buy everything that we talk about. You're like, oh, I downloaded this on my Bandcamp.
Well, I'm not going to download like Jazz Goes Punk, but if it's like a cool thing, like the Le Cousin Dangereux cover album for Enema, like that's a favorite now. Like I love listening to that.
Right.
I think it's Nathan K cover of Eminem's. Like that's on a tons of playlists that I make for myself. So, but I'm not going to buy Jazz Goes Punk, which by the way was released by Amazing Records, and it has 20 tracks.
I think maybe I also just realized that another reason maybe why I don't like when people talk about music is because I mostly just spend my days in silence.
Right. Okay. So the problem is you.
I think I just literally hate the concept of music.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's listen to this jazz cover.
Okay.
It's always been fun. I get a bit nervous and it's hard to say, but I feel a bit weightless the more I admit. I feel a bit anxious the more I go on. The less I can face this and those rotten things that live in our shadow. We walk on the line of death and the gallows and hope that we clear the path we can follow. It's worse than days of my life. I've been a mess today.
I kind of just wanted to play the whole thing.
Holy shit. I mean, a few things I don't get. I mean, one is that complex, like, it's mostly like blitzkrieg bop. And even in terms of contemporary stuff, it's like, wake me up when September ends.
I don't think it's I think it's just a playlist that someone made and made some art
It's
for.
all the same art. I don't know, man. So I guess we could figure this out by listening to the other versions, which I don't want to hear. So I was like...
Well, the feeling this one on this list is Richard Cheese. That's just... I think someone just... Anyways,
okay, no, I get it. So someone's just assembled this. This is not a real comp. I get it.
Yeah.
That, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm loving this. And then the voice threw me off, so much. Right?
I loved the voice. I thought it was so cool. It gave it this, because it started off being, too snooty and sounding like kind of like a wedding band, which is, fine. But then the voice came in and you're like, whoa, this has some, sort of sad teen energy to it. And I love those sad, lonely teens.
It had a real sad teen energy. Yeah, it was just unexpected. Like, it's the worst. It's so sincere and dour.
Yeah, I loved it.
Instead of doing the Richard Cheese thing.
I felt like I was watching anime while it was on.
Yeah.
It seemed like it would be in an anime.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
it's good.
I don't watch a lot of anime. That was great. Unexpected and something of a treat.
Yeah.
So, Josiah, what are your final thoughts on the song When You Were Young by The Killers?
Hey, prove me wrong.
Yeah.
I just want to say this song is great. Prove me wrong, motherfuckers.
Yeah, sick.
No, it's really good. It's it's so existential and aching, and it makes me want to hug Tom and hug his little elf ass.
Yeah. So, my thoughts are the same. I don't think that I conquered my... maybe I need exposure therapy, and this wasn't enough. Maybe I literally need someone to sing the chorus at me, in a just like affectionate and intimate way over and over again.
I think we need to get the guy from your office to
Maybe
do
we'll
it.
do exclusive with him where I'll be like, why did you do that to me? I'm going to confront.
Are you still friends with this person?
I mean, on Facebook.
Is he from Sarnia?
No, he's from here. I think he moved away, which was
to Sarnia.
Moved far away. He hangs out in front of ELCBO now.
Well, I'm just going to say this is the worst damn day of my life. Welcome to Blink 155, Jaik Puppyteeth.
Hello.
I'm not very good at introducing people with much professionalism. I kind of just say welcome and then start it right away. But you are primarily a visual artist.
Yes.
I think. Is that what you would say? But you're also like a blogger, I've noticed. Low key you're a blogger.
Yeah, I like to write. I do enjoy writing. There's just not really as many platforms as me. It's not like I can post writing on Instagram and have people engage with it. So I don't write as much as I draw.
Fair. Well, I think there's plenty of bloggers in the world. So that's fine. I mean, you've really carved out your own niche, and I love your art. And thank you so much for being here. So exciting. So I think this is the worst possible format or place to talk about visual art.
You better be putting a lot of things in the show notes.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, don't worry. We'll have some link
visual
action.
aids.
Yeah. We always do that on the show. We'll just sit here and like describe a YouTube video for like 5 minutes and people listen. That's the worst part.
That's what this podcast is. I didn't do any research into this.
Yeah, it's basically
what band are we talking about?
We'll talk about the band Sincerely for about 7 minutes. And then for about an hour and a half, we'll watch really horrible YouTube covers and just kind of describe people's bedrooms. But there's no way of knowing what we're talking about until people do the research themselves and find it after. So it's really an alienating project.
Yeah, it sounds like an amorphous kind of skeleton of an idea, but I'm down for it.
But we've sort of like hovered in each other's internet presences for a while, which is a gross sentence, but I don't know how else to put it.
The kids call it being mutuals.
We've been mutuals for a while. That's right.
Mutuals.
We are.
Mutually invested in each other's timelines.
Yeah. I mean, we throw each other some faves every once in a while.
Exactly.
You are. That is a kind of mutual. I think I'm that kind of mutual with people where I'll just like throw faves, but I'll never get in the DMs until we talk. Maybe I will now, but like
until you need me for something.
Yeah, right. Well, let's be honest. It's been quite a DM journey this week to get you on the pod, but
yeah, I've been flaky.
But do you have mutuals that you talk to before? Like, I don't know. I feel weird. I feel intrusive getting in the DMs. I'd rather just do faves.
I've stayed with people I've met from Twitter. If I'm going to their city and I don't want to pay for a place to stay, I'll reach out and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna be in your town. I'd love to get to know you. I'd love to get to know your couch. What's up?" So I guess it is only when I need things as well.
Right. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah. If there's some of my mutuals, like when Chrissy Teigen followed me on Twitter, she's never engaged with me on Twitter, so I feel like even that she follows me, that she hasn't seen anything of mine, which kind of makes me sad. But I'm not about to ever go in her DMs. Like, that's like hallowed ground. I feel like I'm not gonna just
that's
people
risky.
Who are too big for me.
Well, the other thing is, I often feel like when big people follow me back, they immediately regret it and mute me on Twitter.
Oh my god, did Chrissy Teigen mute me? I feel like I'm not even big enough to be on her radar to get muted by Chrissy Teigen.
But it's weird. The people that I think that with, then occasionally, like every 6 months, they'll fave one tweet, and then I'm like, wait, so you didn't mute me? Or are you just like every once in a while looking at my timeline to fave one so that I don't think you muted me? Twitter is really a sickness, and I hate talking about it out loud.
I've full on like gone to people's timelines or Twitters that I've unfollowed or that I've muted and just liked their tweets, so I feel like they don't see the ruse.
Yeah, because the mute is too intense where like even if I've muted someone, I want to see when they reply to me so that I can engage with that, but otherwise probably too
Yeah,
clear.
I guess a full mute means like you don't even see replies, hey?
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, really, it's just a horrible place to be. But I enjoy your tweets, and I enjoy being on there with you.
I'm gonna tag Chrissy Teigen in this when we promote it and hope that she replies because I spent 30 minutes or 30 seconds talking about her, so she deserves to get tagged.
I think whenever you talk about Twitter stuff out loud, it does feel like 30 minutes for everyone involved.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. I'm gonna bring it over to Instagram and just say that I'm very happy that they have a mute function now. They followed Twitter's lead, and you can mute people now without unfollowing them.
I haven't muted anyone on Instagram yet.
I have like some courtesy follows on my roster that I'm more. It's like this is also Instagram being a sickness. It's for networking, but I don't like what they make.
Yeah,
but they're more famous than me. I don't want to see their drawings or paintings.
Yeah, I guess if it's like you're on there for like sort of a work purpose primarily.
I'm an entrepreneur. I hate that word.
Is that what people say? I mean, I'm kind of out of the loop with this world.
Somebody at a fucking craft fair told me I was an entrepreneur, and I didn't even look at them. I didn't look up from my book.
While we're talking about jargon, and I feel like I'm not even ready to say this out loud, but because I was too afraid to even tweet it, because I feel like everyone's gonna get mad at me. But I personally think that a word that's very irritating to me, for some reason, I can't explain why it's irritating to me, but when people say I'm tabling at a zine fair or whatever, I just wish there was a different word that wasn't I'm tabling.
Tabling, like the verb tabling. I don't see it. I don't think I see it that often, but I don't like it.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
Yeah, I don't think that tabling should be. I don't know. I would say I have a table at.
Yeah, exactly.
Not
or
that
just
many
like,
more characters to not sound like a loser.
I'm selling zines at the zine fair. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm such a witty person that I would not ever say that I'm tabling. I would make up a funny sentence to make people engage with it, because people don't like just a flat out promotional tweet. You have to be funny or like self-deprecating or both in order to get people to react to it.
I know. Well, it's a full-time job. I mean, at least you're selling something. I don't know why I'm doing any of this stuff.
At least I'm doing something. I don't know. I think that a lot of the tweets that I engage with of yours are like groaner, like bad pun jokes, and some like you purposefully will make something seem like really shitty and then comment on how good it is or something like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like
kind of formula I enjoy.
That is what I do half the time, but then I'll try to be like, oh, I love this new album by my friend's band, and everyone's like, what
People
the
don't
fuck?
give a shit about that. Don't even fucking try.
I know.
No.
It's such a disaster.
Get a live journal for that.
But speaking of, I have noticed that you've done some stuff for some bands before, right?
Yeah, I love making band art, and I do posters for shows sometimes. But yeah, I do. I honestly don't post a lot of the stuff that I do for bands on my main feed, because people don't engage with it, because people don't know who the bands are most of the time. So why do I need to promote them? But if the band's ever famous enough, I'll post it. That's not part of the contract.
This is real social media honesty hours right now.
Real gritty social media honesty. No, I think that I enjoy doing band art a lot, because a lot of people send me the songs and they think that I listen and like make the work around it, which is nice. Like, it's nice to have the option if I worked that way, but I'm not like smoking like an opium pipe like a surrealist, like, and fucking doing a one-man Exquisite Corpse based on their new EP.
Like the thing that people, and we said that this isn't real on here, and everyone got mad at us. But when people say that when they hear music they can see colors, I already forget what it's called, because I have
synesthesia.
I have such a like refusal to believe in that I just forgot the word. But I don't know. Maybe that's what they're thinking you do with their new EP.
Maybe. I don't isn't synesthesia like the number 3 is yellow to some people? Like I think I don't know. I think that like if I had to associate a shape with a word, I have that, but I don't think that it's a medical condition. I just think that it's an association.
Right.
Like it's not like it's afflicting me. What do you think do you associate colors with numbers at all?
I absolutely don't associate colors. No, of course not.
I don't know. What about like, do you think like, let's see, I'm trying to think of a word that I think is round.
A word that you think is round? Well, then I would just
feeling word. Like it doesn't have anything to do with the definition of the word. It's just like.
Oh, did you say brown?
No, round.
Round. Yeah. I mean, then
Like
I would just
shape.
I would think of the letters. Like that already makes more sense to me than. I just feel like everyone's just high when they say that. I picture like psychedelia flowing through the air while they're listening to Jimi Hendrix.
I'm a teetotaler, so I'm trying to think of. Like the word tongue, do you think that like has a shape associated with it other than the shape of a tongue?
Are you sure you're a teetotaler? Because
I've had one too many Americanos.
I'm getting a contact high through Skype right now. I don't know. I mean, this is going way off the deep end, but I did want to get back to the band thing because I'm curious what your own background is with music. I know you used to run an after hours venue in Vancouver, and you have worked with some cool bands, including recent guest Tim the Mute, who
Yes.
And so I was curious kind of what your own musical journey has been in your life and the colors associated with each era.
I don't know. I listen to a lot of like old country music, like outlaw country and then pre-outlaw country. Like I like a lot of
like before they broke the law country.
Like Buck Owens, yeah, and like Roy Acuff, and kind of like the they were pretty above board type people. Like they were kind of more like they weren't like gritty country musicians. They're kind of the wholesome variety, and they often sang about like the perils of sin and things like that. I really enjoy like that kind of country music, kind of like proselytizing vibe.
That's what you're into now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I listen to a lot of that, and I listen to a lot of new wave music. I really like new wave, but I don't think that I necessarily have a journey. I've kind of just plateaued when I was like 20, and I haven't listened to anything new.
Like, did you go to shows when you were younger or anything?
I used to go to shows. I was a drug addict for such a long time that I never had a credit card, so I could never get tickets to like concert shows because I had such bad credit.
Oh yeah.
So I never even tried to go. I've been to a few really good concerts though. Like I went to Robin on her Body Talk tour, and that was really amazing. I just got tickets to see her again in February here, which is exciting.
Do you like the new Robin album?
I do like the new Robin album. I think that it's like it has a really good chill vibe to it, and I'm into it. A lot of people are kind of saying it's not as good as they were hoping it would be, but
I feel like she always tricks people, like especially music writers. She always tricks people by having like one song that's incredible and then a bunch of filler that but you don't notice because you love that one first song so much.
There's a couple of like tracks on it for sure, but there's a lot of bangers. Well, not even bangers. They're like chill vibe bangers. Is there a word for that?
There should be.
Slow burners.
I just think of them in terms of colors mostly, but so you kind of just plateaued. So you like, have you ever had like a punk phase, or are you into punk at all?
I used to listen to the Misfits a lot. I used to listen to like the Ramones and the Young Canadians, and my dad he loves the Forgotten Rebels, which is like a Canadian punk band. I don't know if you know who they are.
Yeah, that name's very familiar. Like
they sang like Surfing on Heroin, and they had a few good tracks, but Mickey DeSatis was there. So I grew up listening to kind of like that kind of stuff through my dad, which is really awesome. And I think they're from Ontario, maybe.
Yeah, I just Googled them and then you cut out for a second, because my internet is so bad. So that's great. Great use of my internet. But yeah, the poster looks very familiar. It looks like sort of like before the Cobalt was renovated kind of band.
Yeah, the Wendy 13 Cobalt.
Yeah, exactly.
I went to a UK sub show at the Cobalt once. That was good.
So it sounds like you really have had, unless you're just self-editing on the fly, it sounds like you've had very good taste for a long time.
I have also very terrible taste in a lot of things, but it's an eclectic mix of good mixed with terrible, I think.
What are some like really terrible things that you're into?
Like I love Garth Brooks. I don't know if that's a terrible thing.
I feel like that's cool. I feel like that's cool now.
It shouldn't be. I don't know. I feel like I grew up listening, and I grew up in such a small town that a lot of that kind of like Leanne Rhymesy country I really vibe with still because I have such nostalgia attached to it.
I just feel like new country and stuff or whatever like I feel like all that stuff is cool right now.
I guess I've always had good taste.
I think you're just really cool. Have you seen A Star Is Born?
Yes, I went and saw it while I was in Montreal last month.
What did you think?
Are there going to be spoiler bleepers or
No, I think it's been enough time that we can talk about the pants pissing scene.
Okay. Well, I was just going to say like I thought it was good. I thought it was very long, but I think that I'm not attached, like I was more attached to like his dog than him, so I didn't really care when he committed suicide. Like people are like crying over it and I didn't cry. Like I wasn't.
Yeah, we could hear people crying in the theater, but like literally, I feel like it's good, but in the way that like
have those people seen Dancer in the Dark?
Yeah, like, I kind of doubt it. I think it's good in the way that like Aaron Sorkin is good. Like it's just like trashy and funny and good. We were laughing so hard when he pissed his pants. Like how are you supposed to take that part seriously at all?
Yeah, I thought that part was pretty funny.
It looked like the Gemini Awards or something, like some Canadian award show. Not.
Did you see the movie Gemini?
No, I didn't.
It was pretty wacky. It was like very social media-y, about like a Insta famous person kind of with a crazy obsessed fan. It was really good. Well, not really good, but it was stylistically very nice looking.
I like obsessed fan social media movies. That's a good vibe.
Like Play Misty for Me, but that was pre-social media. That was radio. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't. I was just thinking of Ingrid Goes West, but I didn't think that movie was crazy enough, actually. I liked the idea of it, but I wanted her to go even crazier.
She was a very sympathetic character, honestly. Like, I don't know, I really empathized with her a lot of the way. Maybe I'm kind of obsessive sometimes not with people like that, but I could see where she was coming from.
Yeah.
She went a little too far. But like the groundwork was kind of like from a sympathetic perspective, I think.
Lately I'm really into like really embarrassing indie movies about like indie music. Like we just watched this one called Hearts Beat Loud that I think in the part of this episode that I've already recorded, or one of these, I literally said I haven't watched it, but then since then I've watched it. So again, just really a mess. But it was like about Ron Swanson.
I saw you posting on Twitter. Ron Swanson's in it.
Yeah, and he just like talks about like Animal Collective. It's like if they tried to remake Garden State, but all the references are from 10 years ago still, and it's just like really uncomfortable. I'm really into that one, and then the one where Adam Pally starts a band with his wife, so they stop fighting, and Fred Armisen's the drummer. It's just so cringy and embarrassing.
What's that called?
What's that one called? I think it's called. Let me see here. It's like.
I want to watch that. That sounds terrible.
It's so bad. It's called Band-Aid because they're just putting a Band-Aid over their marital problems. Yeah, I love. So that's kind of the vibe that I'm into. And there's one that I tried watching on a plane, but I couldn't make it through. But it stars Billy Joe Armstrong from Green Day, and he's like a washed-up punker, and he's trying to. The only thing that is scarier than a mosh pit for him is fatherhood. I just made that tagline up, but that's what it's about. But I started watching it on a plane on my laptop, and people were looking over my shoulder, and I got too embarrassed, so I have to finish it in private at some point.
You should. I think there's. Can't leave that hanging.
But this is my way of trying to get back to pop punk, and it doesn't work because you have such good taste. So that's really kind of a mess. But you did.
I used to listen to Blink-182 when I was growing up a lot, like in high school. Well, not high school. I guess middle school.
And was this in? You said you grew up near Radium. Radium? Is that in BC?
Yeah, Radium Hot Springs.
I think I think my wife's like uncle or some great uncle owns a trailer park there or something.
A trailer park?
Yeah, in Radium.
What's his name? I probably know him.
Really? Uncle Wayne. Yeah. It's Uncle Wayne.
I don't know. I mean, what's his last name?
I'm not going to say his name on the pod. I don't want everyone crashing down Uncle Wayne's Radium
trailer park. Yeah. I don't know if we have some web sleuths on there. They'll figure it out.
So was it in Radium where you were listening to Blink-182?
Yeah. I listened to them a lot growing up. I liked them. I think I really liked the artwork. Like the really cheesy girl artwork with this. Does she have a sucker? What is that?
No, she's pulling a glove on because she's about to do like an enema or something.
There's that one, and then there was like a live album that had like a full cartoon concert cover kind of thing. I think it was that.
Yeah, definitely the Mark Tom and Travis show.
Yeah, I had that, and I really liked the artwork on that. And as a burgeoning young queer, I had the poster of them in their Speedos on the beach hanging on my wall. Do you know that poster?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But of course I wasn't out or anything yet, and maybe my parents were suspicious. but I definitely had crushes on, I think on mostly Mark.
Really? Okay, because that's kind of a major point of debate about who's kind of the best member and who is, like, we've done Fuck, Marry, Kill before. I feel like multiple times actually. but Mark was your top crush.
I think so. I'm gonna look up. I'm gonna look up Blink-182 headshots.
Perfect.
Let's see. Yeah, I never liked the lip ring.
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess they've gone through so many eras, but that era definitely was when Mark was at his must.
Yeah, like young Mark was like super handsome to me. Tom was kind of second, and Travis was third. He was too wiry for me.
What about his tattoos, though?
They aren't. Just as you said that, I pulled up a picture, and his tattoos are not winning him any points.
And then, didn't you mention that something happened where you wanted to recreate the naked streaking video or something?
Yeah, in my school in grade, the school system was split up. So there was a school from grades 4 until 7, and then high school was grades 8 to 12. So it was either in grade 6 or grade 7. The middle school I was in had an annual lip sync competition where you would just either do solo or with friends, and you would make like cardboard instruments if there was instrumentation to be mimicked. And I think it was me and a few friends. I don't know if I was the ringleader behind this, but we wanted to do the What's My Age Again and just do it in our boxer shorts, which was pretty scandalous at the time. And if there were any sexual predators at school, they probably would have loved if it had followed through. but the idea, I think that one of us, I think we were all too shy. It came down to it. The idea was good as an abstract thing, but when it came down to actually meeting up to organize actually doing it. It never happened.
So it wasn't like you were shut down or anything.
No, it never. I don't even think we got to the application stage. But it was. I remember it vividly in my head that it was spoken about. It was planned.
Like, I wonder. I mean, maybe the rules are different in Radium, where Uncle Wayne's trailer park is.
There's a lot of hill people there. I think that. I don't know. Is it that scandalous to wear boxer shorts for a performance? I don't know. We're going to be covered, like our fake instruments were going to be covering us, so it looked like, I guess we all would have had to have guitars.
Right.
I don't know how you make a cardboard drum set.
That would have been very subversive, because you're right. You could have just been like, whoa, we're wearing boxers.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing they can do about it.
I'm a troublemaker in my head until I actually have to make the trouble.
Unfortunately, I've never been to Uncle Wayne's trailer park, but I'd like to know more about Radium and what it was like to go to high school there, and like where would you even bought those CDs?
There was a dirt mall in Cranbrook, which is an hour and a half drive away from Radium, and there was It wasn't an HMV. I forget what it was. One of those
shitty knockoffs.
One of those hanky stores. Fake. No, they had most of the CDs there. I got a lot of wacky CDs there when I was growing up. I remember buying like a Mars Volta CD there. And the Blood Brothers. I used to love the Blood Brothers.
Oh, of course.
I still have an autographed copy of Young Machetes on vinyl somewhere.
Have you when was the last time you put on the Blood Brothers, and like, was it not the most awkward and embarrassing thing to listen to? Because that's what I found.
It's really bad. But that's like putting on Coco Rosie to me now. It's like,
I mean, luckily that I had that reaction immediately
when it was
first
live.
time around. Yeah.
I just love their origin story. Like, we're estranged sisters who make music with broken toys in a bathroom.
Oh, it's so like Fringe Festival music.
Yeah, I really like Anthony. Like, well, I don't know what they're going by Anthony now. Like Anthony and the Johnsons, Anthony. Mm-hmm. They, the song "Beautiful Boys" by Coco Rosie. They're featured on that.
Oh, okay.
And that's how I came to know Anthony and their music, which I love. One of the best concerts I've ever been to was seeing them at the Vogue, because it was like a nice seated experience, and they were just on their piano, like weeping. Like, they're so emotive, and it was a beautiful, beautiful concert.
That sounds great, but it sounds also like a lot better than seeing Coco Rosie have doll heads.
I don't know. I could
picture their show being like a local theater Mad Max reimagination or something.
Yeah. There was a show because I went to Emily Carr, so there was already enough shitty people in my life. But there was this one girl who tried to give me shit. She's like, "I can't believe you're not going to the Coco Rosie show tonight. Everybody's going to the Coco Rosie show." And I was like, what the fuck? Like, what have I gotten myself into? I'm just like this townie who moved. I have to go listen to Broken Toys. I did not go to that show, and I'm happy to say
history has proven you right.
Yeah, history's on my side for that one.
So you loved those album covers, and that is something that definitely resonated with me about pop punk too, because for me personally, I grew up loving like Mad Magazine and Ren and Stimpy and stuff like that, and I felt like I couldn't believe that like cool music also could have that aesthetic. And I don't want to make assumptions, but I know that your art is very funny, which is what I love about it. And so I'm just curious, kind of, did any of that come into play with sort of your journey as an artist?
Definitely. I used to read Mad Magazine and Cracked Magazine religiously. And I used to buy books for the covers and buy magazines for the covers and buy albums for the covers. So a lot of the kind of cartoony style that I draw in, or kind of fuse with realism, sort of, to make the weird blend that I draw in stylistically, I think is definitely derived from a lot of that heavy line work and that kind of really bold cartooning that was really popular. I feel like in the pop punk scene, like they like things to be very graphic and visual like that. But honestly, I feel like that's why I resonated with like the Ramones and with the Misfits, is because they have such a visual aesthetic too. Like it's just so linked with iconography. Even like the New York Dolls. I love the New York Dolls for how they represented themselves visually.
I mean, when you say that, it kind of makes me realize that even the Ramones were sort of also on a Mad Magazine kind of tip as well.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
And so maybe I'm not lame for having a giant collection of Mad magazines in my office that take up 6 shelves.
What is that one album that like that Pet Sematary is on? Oh, it's on Brain Drain. That's not the album cover I'm thinking of. There's one Ramones album that I used to love the cover of, and it was like super cartoony. Oh, it's the Acid Eaters cover.
Oh, yeah.
I used to love that. Just the design of that one I thought was really
cool. I mean, that's badass. What about,
right?
you know what's my favorite album cover actually, maybe of all time, is the self-titled Weird Al album.
I don't know it.
It's like just him in a messy room just full of junk, and you could just stare at it forever.
Oh yeah. That like reminds me on like a loose visual reference to like Al Stewart's Year of the Cat, which is one of my favorite albums, with that room that has cat stuff all over it.
Yeah, I love just drawings that you can stare at forever, and just find new details.
Yeah, there's some, I don't know, that Year of the Cat one's really cool because it has, everything's like referenced to cats in it. So there's literally everything has a cat to do with it. Even the are you looking at it?
Yeah.
Pull it up. Pull it up.
I got it.
But like the cat with a ball of yarn on the lamp and stuff, I really like things like that.
Oh, it's so cool.
Yeah, that's also a really, really good song. So
I'm gonna have to put it on after. Well, I think we've really gotten deep into Blink-182. Really explored the
deep dive into why I'm gay because of that poster.
So do you think? Yeah, I was gonna actually like. How did that poster play into that part of your life? I mean, was it kind of like?
I honestly, I thought they were like cute as hell, and the fact that I could kind of mask having that on my wall with humor, because it was like just like a cheeky bit of fun, but it definitely had like ulterior attractiveness to me. But yeah, I could get away with having it on my wall because it was just kind of, they were just like kind of like the same with the Bloodhound Gang to a point too. Kind of, I think I had that album I thought was really like their only good one. Whatever album that good.
Was it
good? Their only popular one. I'll rephrase. But,
look, the good Bloodhound Gang stuff is the later stuff. Okay, so get it right. No, I'm just kidding.
I think that, I don't know, a lot of those like bands from that time, I like the guys I engaged with because I thought they were cute. That's why I liked Ludacris a lot, because I thought he was super cute.
Right.
So, and he actually did a lot of visually cartoony stuff too for his album covers.
It's funny because like Blink-182 in Speedos or whatever, and so much of their humor is, from what I can tell, although I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but to me it seems like they were doing gay panic humor.
A little bit, yeah, totally.
But then I guess does that, from your perspective, does that matter, or how do you feel about that kind of?
I feel like that was just what everybody was doing. Like, I feel like kind of pretending to be gay or kind of like queer baiting to be like, oh, gross, man, like was just a part of culture then. Like, that was an easy joke to make. I mean, it was an easy joke to make from like probably like the 70s till 2002.
Or if you watch Saturday Night Live like until last year or something.
Or if you follow Chelsea Handler on Twitter now.
Yeah. Exactly. The Trump and Putin stuff is still going strong.
Yeah, like, oh, send him to prison. He'll want to drop the soap. Like, making prison rape jokes a lot is really cool.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But it's kind of interesting that perhaps they were doing just kind of like a stupid frat boy gay panic joke, but then it actually kind of was helpful to you or like valuable to you in a more sincere way.
Totally. I think that just them putting themselves like naked on posters, just that whole exhibitionism side of things is, I feel like, always good for society. But that's also when Jackass was really popular, right? So I feel like Johnny Knoxville and all of those people were super into like the no homo, but let's all be naked together side of humor. And that was super popular at the time. The same with Tom Green show was like big then, and he did a lot of that too.
Right.
I feel like it was just like an easy comedy shtick for people. But then Tom Green show was on at the same time that the Andy Dick show was on, and I really liked Andy Dick because he was so effeminate.
Right.
And I thought he was way funnier than Tom Green. Because I thought Tom Green's humor was so stupid. But.
Is it Andy Dick and Tom Green who recently traded clothes? Yeah.
I thought, didn't Andy Dick get arrested for stealing somebody's watch on the street?
Andy Dick's definitely a piece of shit.
He like burgled someone on the street and ran away with their jewelry.
Oh my god.
Like 5 years ago.
No, but Andy Dick and Tom Green, I mean, I don't love talking about Andy Dick personally, but they did recently trade clothes and facial hair, and they look exactly the same. Like if you just Google Andy Dick, Tom Green, just do an image search for Andy Dick, Tom Green. It's like frightening.
Did someone film this, or did they just do it for fun?
I don't know.
Because they don't have anything to do.
Yeah, they're both just
just at each other's house. We should just put on each other's clothes. Oh, they do look like each other. I don't like that.
I know, it's very uncomfortable.
Okay. In Andy Dick's defense, there's one character he has named Daphne Aguilera, and it's Christina Aguilera's like long lost cousin that he is like it's like a pop star character that has a really raspy voice and chain smokes. I don't know if one time I went on a Christina Aguilera fan site to download an MOV file of this because it was so hard to find. But I think I looked it up. I looked it up more recently, and I could find it. Oh, here. It's on YouTube. I'm going to send it to you. It's on... Oh, never mind. It's on Daily Motion.
So it's a good sign.
Kind of deep cut. But it's actually one of, like, my favorite sketches from that era of television history, like the VH1.
So did you pick side? Because I feel like Christina Aguilera and Britney were like either you were a rocker into Mars Volta and Blink-182, or you were into Christina Aguilera. Did you pick sides?
No, I feel like I respected Christina's voice more than Britney's, but Britney is just such a showstopper. Plus, now Christina's like tweeting Oreo tweets all the time.
No, but I meant like, did you like
then?
No, like were you like, I'm alternative, I don't like pop music, or were you?
Oh no, I've always been like, listen to whatever I want. I don't think that I don't really have when you were talking about guilty pleasures earlier, like I don't really have anything that I'm too ashamed to listen to.
Yeah, I know. And I don't really, I mean, yeah, I don't think guilty pleasures really exist. I think I used to use that as a defense mechanism when I was like 17 and trying to seem cool, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think that, well, I have a sister that's 2 years older than me, so I feel like there was always kind of pop music around in my world until she turned a little Ani DeFranco-y in high school. But before that phase, it was a lot of like pop music and lots of like Spice Girls before that, and all of those kind of trimmings that come with being like a 15-year-old girl or whatever, how old you are when you listen to that stuff.
Right.
But like I feel like I don't resent having like the Spice Girls discography in the back of my head.
Of course not. No.
Or like she used to make me watch Dirty Dancing all the time, and I love Dirty Dancing now. So I feel like growing up with an older sister was definitely a boon in the end.
And it's so cool to like pop music now. So once again, we've further proven that you just generally have good taste. So that's congratulations. You've done
True. I think that I don't know. I have kind of a cool family. So I grew up like my uncle is a huge Madonna fan. So I grew up listening to Madonna tons and tons, and I've never seen her live, but my mom loves Cher, so I've always loved Cher a lot. And Cher and ABBA, that album that just came out, I think is really cool.
Oh, I didn't even know about it.
Cher just put out an album of ABBA covers because she started Mamma Mia 2, and then she sang like Fernando on that, I think, and then she's like, fuck it, I'm just going to put out a whole album of ABBA covers, and it's so good. I think that I've really appreciated like pop music divas, just like that whole world that comes with existing in that territory.
Yeah, fair. I mean, I think also all the people who were like, I'm not into pop music, I'm alternative, they ended up being just as big of divas as everyone else.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like even, I don't know, I don't want to drag Courtney Love into this. I swore I wouldn't. I think I've always really liked her. And she has her diva qualities too, but she's still like a real person. And obviously she's in a different state of mind now, like celebrity wise than she was then when she was super popular. But even Hole as a band, I feel like a lot of like the alternative grungy people enjoyed listening to that. But I don't know, I still see her as kind of like a pop culture-y, like pop diva.
Yeah.
Music is alt. Same with like Fiona Apple and shit like that. Like I don't know where to put those people sometimes.
Does Fiona Apple, is she the one who does the theme song for that show The Affair?
I don't know.
I think she does. My wife watches that, and I think she hasn't liked it since episode 2, but
she's still watching.
This is what she always does. She'll say, I'm not going to give up on the show until I've given it 3 episodes. And then by the time she's watched 3 episodes, she's like, oh, now I need to see how it finishes, even though I fucking hate it. It's like
now committed.
Yeah, but Fiona Apple, I think, sings that theme song, and it's probably the worst song I've ever heard in my life.
Well, whatever's putting beans on her plate.
All right. Well, I think we could go on forever. We got to start our own female pop star podcast now, I think.
Yeah, I get that.
But in conclusion,
we could probably get Cyndi Lauper on it.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. But to conclude, where can people find you? Where do you want people to go? And how many followers do they have to be for you to follow them back and mute them?
I won't follow anybody back unless they're verified. I think that, probably the best way to see visually what we've been talking about today would be my Instagram, which is just Puppyteeth, like puppy and the word teeth. So you have to spell to get to it. And my Twitter is Jaik Puppyteeth or just Jaik Puppyteeth. So Jaik Puppyteeth. Because I don't spell Jake the normal way. Because I don't know why. Because I changed it when I was 9 and didn't change it back.
For real? You've been spelling it that way that long?
Yeah.
Even back then, you knew about SEO. You're like, I'm going to be so Googleable.
Oh, honestly, I was really into numerology at the time, and I just don't even know why I changed it, but the fates are in my favor now.
I woke up today, surrounded by blackness, the small morning sun devoured the process. It's always been fun. I get a bit nervous and it's hard to say, but I feel a bit weightless the more I admit. I feel a bit anxious the more I go on.